Shabbat Shalom Yasharala. Thank you for joining me. We are on Torah portion week 19, covering Exodus 31:12, all the way through the end of chapter 34. Let's get this thing started with a prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to be here in your presence. Baruch Hashem Haya, for everything that you are doing for us now, and that you will do for us in our future, Heavenly Father, that you continue to cover us, to be our covering. And thank you for sending your Mashiach in the flesh to be raised in the spirit, as all of your disciples will be. And we just ask that you give us the strength in the Ruach to endure to the end, to see the deception, to see the evil, and to remove it from our lives, and to give us the whereabout to repent of those evils. In all that we do, send the Ruach and bless us with your grace. Protect this line of fellowship, Abba, and in the name of our Mashiach, Yasha, Amen. Let's go. The golden calf, that is the highlight of this Torah portion. Here is one of the many illustrations of the golden calf. Obviously, this is a full-blown bull or cow, and but different illustrations, and we're going to go over that in a little bit. We are starting on Exodus chapter 31, verses 12 through 18. So just the end of the chapter, just the last portion of chapter 31. And I'm going to read this in the Targum. Read the whole 12 through 8 verses in the Targum straight up. And let's get it started. And the Adon spoke with Moshe, saying, also speak thou with the sons of Yasharallah, saying, ye shall keep the day of my Shabbats, Sabbaths, indeed, for it is a sign between my word and you, that you may know that I am the Adon who sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath, because it is Kodesh, holy to you. Whosoever profaneth it, dying, he shall die. Whoever does any work therein, that man shall be destroyed from his people. 6 days ye shall do work, but the seventh day is Sabbath, the holy Sabbath before the Adon. Whoever does work upon the Sabbath, dying he shall die by the casting of stones. The sons of Yasharallah shall therefore keep the Sabbath to perform the delightful exercises of the Sabbath. It is for your generations an everlasting statute. Between my word and the sons of Yasharallah, it is a sign forever. For in 6 days the Adon created and perfected the heavens and the earth. And in the seventh day he rested and refreshed. And that's the thing. When you understand the context that we're reading here, it makes so much sense why it is a covenant, everlasting covenant between the word and the sons of Yasharallah, because it was the hands of the word, Messiah, that created and perfected the heavens and the earth. And he was the one technically resting. Obviously, we know everything goes through the Father. He's been given the ability to create through the Father. But the hands of the word is what created the heavens and the earth. So that makes when you put it in those contexts, it really does make more sense, at least for me, because he's the one that rested and he made it for us. And he gave to Moshe when he had finished to speak with him in Mount Sinai the 2 tablets of testimony, tablets of sapphire stone, from the throne of glory, weighing 40 sin, inscribed by the finger of Elohim. We see the sapphire stone. And let's go to that real quick. We spoke on this before. And yes, exactly. He is Lord of the Sabbath, Adon of the Sabbath day, Master. He is the one that ordains it. He's the one that spoke it into existence because he rested. Exactly. Good precept, even though this is just, but we know that's from the book of Matthew there. And so now we're looking at the sapphire stone tablets, and we read this in the Targum, but the canon will respectfully support that. So we go to Numbers 15:38. And we see the sapphire stones. We spoke about this in the past where we already saw in the earlier Torah portions that Ezekiel in other books confirmed that the throne is made of sapphire. So we got that the throne is made out of sapphire. And we see the tablets are also made out of sapphire. And then we see that the tassels, aka fringes, that the children are commanded to wear is because someone broke the Sabbath, a commandment. One of the most important, if you had to say one was more important than the other, the most important of the 10 in the 10 commandments is all connected to sapphire. So when we go to the fringes or tassels that we are commanded to wear, and we go to the ribbon of blue, this ribbon of blue is supposed to represent sapphire stones from his throne, which represents the 10 commandments. I mean, I'm pretty sure many of you probably seen the video on Instagram, but this is for those that haven't quite put it together yet. So when we go to and see all the connections, that the 10 commandments is made out of sapphire stone because it's literally broken off from his throne. And then someone broke the Sabbath day, aka the commandments. So he said, as a reminder, so you do not sin, wear these tassels of ribbon of blue. But the ribbon of blue is sapphire blue. And sapphire blue can range from a darker navy blue to a violet, as we see here. Says blue, but in all the usage is actually violet. And it gives some examples, but they just translate it as blue. And I made my own depiction of these sapphire stone 10 commandments based off of scriptural context. And if you look into the shape of sapphire stones, they're like cylinders with 6 sides. And so this is obviously like they're cut in half just for a representation of it. But this is the idea of the geometry structure of a natural sapphire stone. And this is a more realistic color. A darker navy blue or violet is the natural color of the sapphire stone that is his throne. And so yeah, this is something of the color that should be worn as tassels, and the color of his throne and the commandments and so on. All of this is the same color. So, and there's a lot of these blues. When you see a lot of these blues that's they depict for what we just did last week of the tabernacle and in the curtains, the doors, a lot of them say blue, but it's actually not the blue that we're used to saying the color blue is, like kind of like, I guess, the blue of my shirt. It's actually talking about more of a violet blue, not blue that we're more accustomed to looking upon. All right. And we are talking about it being the Ezekiel 20 as a precept, finishing this chapter. Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me. And if you actually go into the Targums for the Ezekiel will have Aramaic Targum as well. And this also says my word. So between my word and them, that they might know that I am Haya, that sanctified them. I am Haya, your Allahayim. Walk in my statutes and keep my judgments and do them and hallow my Sabbaths, and they shall be a sign between my word and you, that ye may know that I am Haya, your Allahayim. Notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me. They walked not in my statutes, neither kept my judgments to do them, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. They polluted my Sabbaths. Then I said, I would pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the wilderness, which we're about to see right now. This is kind of this. I made sure I went to verse 21 because I wanted to have that foreshadowing of this chapter. That being said, let's get into Exodus chapter 32.
Exodus 32. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. Then they rose up early on the morrow, and offered burnt offerings, and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink, and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation.
All right, let's go to the Targum. I'm going to read verses 5 through 9. For Aaron has seen her and the other priest slain before him. And I checked this, and I was like, wow. Obviously, the Aramaic Targum tell us that her was slain. And I was like, wow, because it's not in the canon, obviously. And I'm like, let me double check. Is he not mentioned at all after this story in anywhere else? And sure enough, he is not. He was just mentioned, I want to say a couple of chapters ago. And after the golden calf, her is no longer mentioned. It's only referring to as the sons of her here on out. So very interesting why, again, I always thought, dang, Aaron, like kind of a weak backbone, right? Aaron just straight up just started making the golden calf. But now I guess a little bit more reasons, because they straight up killed the first priest or person that I guess they approached to make the golden calf, her, and they slain him and struck fear into Aaron. But obviously we know that we should not fear those that can kill the body, only him that can kill the soul. But just important detail right there off top. So Hur is slain in this story and was afraid, and he built an altar before him. And Aaron cried with doleful voice and said, let there be a feast before the Adon tomorrow of the sacrifice of the slain of these adversaries who have denied their Adon and have changed the glory of the Shekinah of the Most High for this calf. So, and now we see here that Aaron doesn't just make a proclamation like he's siding with them. Aaron cries out, and he's actually saying there's going to have a feast for these people that have rejected the Most High for this golden calf. So verse 5 is very different, but continuing. And on the day following, they arose and sacrificed burnt offerings, and the people sat around to eat and to drink, and rose up to disport themselves with strange service. There is another, well, any acts of worship of foreign gods throughout the canon is referred to as strange worship or service in this wording. And the Adon said to Moshe, descend from the greatness of thy honor, for I have not given thee greatness except on account of Yasharallah. But now thy people, whom thou didst bring up from the land of Mizraim, have corrupted their works. Quickly have they declined from the way which I taught them in Sinai, that ye shall not make yourselves images or figure or any similitude, for now have they made to them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and sacrificed to it, and proclaimed before it, these are thy gods, Yasharallah, which brought thee up from the land of Mizraim. And the Adon said to Moshe, the pride of these people is manifest before me, and behold, it is a people of hard neck. Thought the Targums gave some better understanding right here in this chapter. And what we got next? So now let's go to the book of Jasher. Yes. And I'm glad you brought this. I'm glad you brought it up, Liz, about strange service in churchianity. That's exactly why people think like, oh, I'm telling you not to fellowship. But when I tell people, when you wake up to the truth, why you can't go back to these churches. Like, these churches literally are strange worship ceremonies. Every ritual they do is strange worship. That's why when, I don't know, just people that are just fresh in this walk, when I tell them that, I don't know, they kind of like get a knee-jerk reaction, but they don't understand that the more you keep attending these worships, you're literally surrounded by devil worshipers. As crazy as it sounds, that's what it is. Or what is the real deception if it isn't devil worship, if it isn't strange worship? They're not doing anything according to the word, etc., etc. Got to watch out for that stuff. Got to watch out who you pray with, because they may not be praying to who you praying to. Their praise music isn't praise music to our Creator, and so on. So yes, the strange worship in modern day times is in these churches. Got to watch out. All right. And yes, Blair with the precept. And that being said, Matthew 6:24, no man can serve two masters. You can't be, oh, I could do churchianity and all their pagan and just be, it's okay, and then still want to be like, oh, but I'm going to believe and do the whole word. You can't serve two masters. And that hurts people. It takes away family and fellowship, but it is not a family that you want to be a part of, because it's Hasatan's family. It's not the Most High's body of Mashiach that we have been obviously led to believe growing up in these organizations. All right. All right, now we are on Jasher. You know what? Yeah, we'll go to Jasher 10, 16, verse 10 through 16 in chapter 82. And the Adon wrote the 10 commandments which he had commanded the children of Yasharallah upon 2 tablets of stone, which he gave to Moses to command the children of Yasharallah. And at the end of 40 days and 40 nights, when the Adon had finished speaking to Moses on Mount Sinai, then the Adon gave to Moses the tablets of stone written with the finger of Elohim. And when the children of Israel saw that Moses tarried to come down from the mount, they gathered around Aaron and said, as for this man, Moses, we know not what has become of him. Now therefore rise up, make unto us a God who shall go before us, so that thou shalt not die. So you see that? So that thou shalt not die, because they just killed her. Then we got that in context now. They just killed her, and they was threatening Aaron with his life. So make us a God, or you will die, right? Verse 14. And Aaron was greatly afraid of the people, and he ordered them to bring him gold, and he made it unto a molten calf for the people. And Elohim said to Moses, before he had come down from the mount, get thee down, for thy people whom thou didst bring forth from Egypt have corrupted themselves. And they made to themselves a molten calf and have bowed down to it. Now therefore leave me, that I may consume them from off the earth, for they are a stiff-necked people. And then we're going to go and check out this video I did on Instagram on the golden calf. Some interesting points with the luminaries. Let's talk about the golden calf found in Exodus chapter 32. In verse 4, and he received the gold from their hand and fashioned it with a graven tool and made a golden calf. And a lot of golden calf illustrations look like this, a golden calf with this object on top of his head. So let's break it down. So we're going to see that everything goes back to the heavens. As time passes throughout the generation of mankind, the constellations slowly change. Let's read on it. Because of the slow change in our orientation to the stars, the position of the sun on the first day of spring slowly shifts westward around the sky, which also moves it around our calendar. That is why we refer to this effect as the precession of the equinox. So these are the 12 constellations that run on the path of the sun. And right now, spring starts right at the end of Pisces. But after Adam and Eve fell from the garden, the beginning of mankind, we were at Taurus. All right, so now we're going to get to the point. So at the time of the Exodus, they were somewhat in the beginning of Aries. And once the year begins, the sun moves this way through the constellations. So we started in Pisces, but the first month after Pisces lands in Aries for us right now. So during the Exodus story, they started their month at the end of Aries, and then the sun would shift into Taurus halfway through the month when Passover occurred. So this is the heavenly image that the Israelites saw leaving Egypt. The constellation of Taurus crowned with the sun. And this is why the golden calf is crowned with the sun, because they said, these are the gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. They took the sign from heaven on the day that they left Egypt and worshiped it as the God that freed them. Okay. Got that? That video played well for y'all. So as we see, they clearly state that the golden calf, the molten calf, was a god that brought them out of the land of Egypt. And by no coincidence, right? By no coincidence, that is what the heavens depicted at the same very time. And I wanted to also add in that not too long later, we get the actual name of, I believe, the same deity. There's nothing new under the sun. A bull that they gave sacrifices to. What does that sound like? That sounds like Moloch worship. Let's read about that. Moloch worship is from the old to the new. I feel like it doesn't obviously say it. This is just me connecting the dots. A bull that you make worship to and sacrifices to, from Amos, but ye have borne the tabernacle of Moloch, which is depicted as a bull. Chew in your images and the star of your God, which ye made to yourselves. And we know that Chew-in and Remphan are the same, which is also Saturn, which is the same as these Chew-in and Remphan, which is a six-pointed star that the fake Jews rock. And then we have Stephen preaching in Acts 7 that is quoting from Amos, because they're worshiping the same deity that they are worshiping in all the way from the book of Amos. And I believe Amos is just speaking on what they was doing from the very beginning, from the moment they left. Seems like same type of worship, very similar type of worship there. All right. I think that's all I have. So let's continue. I'm going to read 11 through 29 now.
And Moses besought the Lord his God and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, For mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thine own self, and saidst unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the two tables of the testimony were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides. On the one side and on the other were they written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, There is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, It is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing. And Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands, and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made, and burnt it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water. and made the children of Israel drink of it. And Moses said unto Aaron, What did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, Let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, that they are set on mischief. For they said unto me, Make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I said unto them, Whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses. And there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. For Moses had said, Consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son, and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day.
All right. Let's go into the Targum. Want to make a note first, though. We see here in verse 20, and he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire and ground it into powder and strawed it upon the water and made the children of Israel drink of it. And then that's it. It doesn't even it doesn't really explain it at all. And we're going to get the explanation of this in the Targum. So what was the point of taking the powder from the golden calf and making the children of Israel drink it? What's the point of that? We're going to read 18 through 20. But he said, It is not the voice of the strong who are victorious in battle, nor the voice of the weak who are overcome by their adversaries in the fight, but the voice of them who serve with strange service and who make a merriment before it that I hear. And it was when Moshe came near the camp and saw the calf and the instruments of music in the hands of the wicked who were dancing and bowing before it, Satan among them dancing and leaping before the people. The wrath of Moshe was suddenly kindled. And this is kind of ironic, right? Because Moshe just had the Most High repent, or pleaded with the Most High repented of the evil, just so Moshe could come down and just be kindled at what the Most High was seeing. So the Most High was kindled with wrath because he was already seeing what was going on. And Moshe was like, please have mercy on your people. And the Most High repented just for Moshe to come down here and be like, I'm going to get y'all for this. And he cast the tables from his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain. The holy writing that was on them, however, flew and was carried away into the air of the heavens. And he cried and said, Woe upon the people who heard at Sinai from the mouth of the Holy One, thou shalt not make thyself an image or figure or any likeness, and yet at the end of 40 days make a useless molten calf. And that's the part of why I want to read this translation as well too, is because he's making it clear that I just told y'all this. I just told you not to do this, and you still did it. I don't think at least like most people that hasn't read Exodus thoroughly realize that this was back-to-back events within 40 days of each other, right? All right, now verse 20. And he took the calf which they had made and burned it in a fire and bruised it into powder and cast it upon the face of the water of the stream and made the sons of Israel drink. And whoever had given thereto any trinket of gold, the sign of it came forth upon his nostrils. So that's the point of drinking the water. It was going to expose those that gave their gold for the calf. So those that participated in the strange worship, that contributed to it, in other words. And then in verse 28, and the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moshe and of the people who had the mark in their nostrils. See, the whatever what that looked like. I don't, have an imagination. I don't know, did it turn their nostrils gold or whatever? I don't know what the mark looked like. But the mark in their nostrils, there fell that day by the slaughter of the sword about a number of 3,000 men. So that was a marking. And yeah. And that was done. So that was the whole purpose of the drinking of the water and putting the powder of the molten calf into the water that isn't explained at all in the canon. All right. Now we're going to the book of Jasher, chapter 82 again. I see y'all talking about that bull-like nose ring that a lot of people wear. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't do anything that is depicted in the same imagery as a bull or a goat or a snake. And let me say this, because I could talk for days about this stuff. Y'all know. We see that Hasatan is illustrated as animals. As animals, right? A bull, a snake, a goat, a dragon. And what's the mark that we're supposed to be not taking in the book of Revelation or in any time in history? Mark of the beast. Beast is an animal term. You see the correlation is just so many correlations. Hasatan is illustrated as beasts in multiple beasts. They're telling you to don't act like a beast, and it's not talking about as one animal. It could be a snake, a dragon, a goat, a bull. Hasatan is embodied as an animal. He is a beast-like creature because animals don't follow commandments. They are not chosen to be given eternal life. And so, I go up for this, but just opening your mind if you don't have that understanding already. All right, so let's go back to Jasher. We're going to read 17 through 20. And Moses besought the countenance of the Adon, and he prayed to the Adon for the people on the account of the calf which they had made. And he afterward descended from the mount, and his hands were the 2 tablets of stone which Elohim had given him to command the Israelites. And when Moses approached the camp and saw the calf which the people had made, the anger of Moshe was kindled, and he broke the tablets upon the mount. And Moses came to the camp and took the calf and burned it with fire and ground it till it became fine dust and strewed it upon the water and gave it to the Israelites to drink. And there died of the people by the swords of each other about 3,000 men who had made the calf. And for some reason, even in Jasher, it doesn't really tell you why, but that's why we use multiple books and manuscripts, because that makes so much sense. That's the whole point of why people drank of it. It's because, and you see how they drank of it, and then people died right afterwards, because this is what marked. And what were they marked by? Based on, they were marked from an idol that was a beast creature, right? It was a mark of the beast for the book of Exodus. This was a one-time mark of the beast, per se. All right, let's finish chapter 32 now. (30 through 35).
Passed on the morrow, then Moses said unto the people, Ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up unto the Lord. Peradventure, I shall make an atonement for your sin. And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, O, this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book, which thou hast written. And the Lord said unto Moses, Whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. Therefore now go, lead the people unto the place of which I have spoken unto thee. Behold, mine angel shall go before thee. Nevertheless, in the day when I will visit their sin upon them. And the Lord plagued the people because they made the calf which Aaron made.
All right, let me see here. All right, verse 34. The more you know, the more you know. I've said it once, and I've even, beginning of the gospel portion, started about so many people. I was just talking to one of my clients last week about Messiah being an angel, and he was just like shook. He was like, he's an angel? And I'm like, is he a son of God? Is he a son of the Most High? Yeah. Okay, well, what are sons of the Most High in the Bible? I mean, it's very straightforward. They're angels. And so if you don't understand what Messiah is, then it makes it harder to see him in the Old Testament and throughout all scripture. Because when he says, especially when we read in the Targum, we see over and over again that he says, my word, my word, my word. And then he tells you, I will say, my angel shall proceed before thee. So, and then we have the pillar of smoke, which is what he's talking about. We have the pillar of smoke guiding them throughout the wilderness, and everything is done through my word, from the atonement over the mercy seat to him talking to the Most High. It tells you that no one has seen the Most High, only my word, right? And then he tells you his angel will guide you. Like, all of this is the same being. It's Messiah. The more you understand, the more you will see what is the path that is being created in throughout all scripture. And yes, Liz, the more you understand, it will make it harder to debunk your understanding on Messiah. This is the biggest point of why we have to study scripture line by line and do our due diligence, so your faith isn't easily shaken when someone just quotes scripture and butchers it for his point, because you haven't really learned anything. Like, stuff like this should be popping in your head when people say stuff like, nah, man, he's here. He's everywhere. What do you mean? But if you're not really studying, you're just like, I believe in Messiah, but you don't really have understanding, validation. Then, yeah, someone quote scripture and say whatever they want, and you're going to be like, for real? Study to learn. Study to grow in faith. I say this all the time to folks. People go, oh, well, I read that already. And I say, that's the problem. When you say, when I tell you to look into something and somebody says, well, I read that, that's your problem. Scripture isn't meant to be read, it's meant to be studied, it's meant to be meditated on. It isn't meant to just read it like it's a regular Harry Potter book. If you're studying it and comprehending correct context of a chapter, then you shouldn't be shaking in your boots when someone brings you a verse on that same very chapter. You should be able to be like, boom, 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 which is why we're doing this. But this, I'm stating it as is in a general for like any topic in any reading. Like, don't just read a chapter and just move on. This is why I decided to do the gospel portions, because everything that I do, for the most part, I'm trying to study it thoroughly as much as I can and not just read it. All right. All right. And now we're going to talk about this very verse that says, my angel. Understanding my angel and the fact that the Most High has sent his son to lead his people out of captivity and to save them, you will understand from the lamb at Passover in Egypt to the pillar of smoke leading them throughout, and then the word talking to them at Mount Sinai. All of that, you'll see that this is talking about one angel that is made higher than the rest. So when we go through the canon, you take scripture for what it is and not what people tell you. Revelation 22:16, Messiah himself says this: I, Yasha, have sent my angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. And there's people out here like, oh, well, there you go. Like, so simply not studying, not reading things in context, would say this will pair it up with Isaiah's Lucifer. And when you actually read of it, it says son of the morning. It doesn't even say morning star. It's not even the same exact wording or word, but it says son of the morning. But it doesn't matter, because the Lucifer, the title of Lucifer or fallen angels, are also stars, right? They're all sons of Elohim. Well, Job 38:7 is the key precept to connect all the dots here. What is Messiah saying? Messiah saying is that he is the bright and morning star, that he is I'm pretty sure, in Hebrews, which said he was made better than the rest of the angels and at a higher level of a hierarchy. So he is the bright and the morning star, because when we read in Job, when the morning stars sang together, and who are the morning stars? All the sons of God shouted for joy. The sons of God are the same as morning stars, and that is correlated all throughout Scripture. Angels, which is the same thing as sons of God, are called stars all throughout Scripture. You can even go Revelation 1. It says the 7 stars or the 7 angels over the 7 churches. The stars are angels, and metaphorically, in a sense, stars are angels, and angels are also the sons of God. And another word for stars can also be referred to as morning stars, which pretty much mean bright stars, just like we read here. That's pretty much what idea of morning star is, that it's a bright star that can be seen during the morning time when light starts to rise. That's what all of that means. That's literally what all that means. That's just saying that he is the bright angel that is come forth with the testimony of our Creator. And so when you understand the context of that, you understand who this is, right? All praises. All praises. All right. Chapter 33 now. 33. All right. We're going to read 1 through 11. Oop, here.
Exodus 33. And the Lord said unto Moses, Depart, and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt, unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, Unto thy seed will I give it. And I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on him his ornaments. For the Lord had said unto Moses, Say unto the children of Israel, Ye are a stiff-necked people. I will come up into the midst of thee in a moment, and consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments by the mount Horeb. And Moses took the tabernacle, and pitched it without the camp, afar off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that every one which sought the Lord went out unto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp. And it came to pass, when Moses went out unto the tabernacle, that all the people rose up, and stood every man at his tent door, and looked after Moses, until he was gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass, as Moses entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended, and stood at the door of the tabernacle, and the Lord talked with Moses. And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door. And all the people rose up and worshipped, every man in his tent door. And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp. But his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle.
All right. If we see here, I just got done talking about this, the pillar of smoke. We see the connection. Verse 2, I will send an angel before thee. And then in the same chapter, I will send an angel. And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door. Well, there you go. That is the presence, the Shekinah of the angel sent before him. And all of these are different illustration of the same deity, which is Messiah. All right, we're going to look. I just want to show some of these. I actually got verse 7. And verse 7 really is just for the name of the tabernacle. I just like the translation better. In verse 7 in the Targum, it says, and it was called the tabernacle of the house of instruction. I just wanted to read that. Just like that name. And we see why it was removed from the camp, right? Because the camp was filled with sin. And this is why darkness can't be mixed with light. Genesis 1 verse 4 and 5. He made light and saw it was good, and he divided the light from the darkness. There is no darkness in him. So he had to remove himself from the camp because he cannot have fellowship with darkness, which is the entire point of this life. The entire point of this life is to train our spirits to remove the darkness. Then in the millennium reign, to solidify and mold what is already the foundation of our faith and obedience, to be prepared to be in the high heavens and to be in his presence always. We could never be in the presence in Shekinah of our Heavenly Father unless we are all good all the time, just like he is. And that's exactly why Hasatan is the opposite. Like Shekinah said, the yin yang, as above, so below, etc., etc. We're supposed to be preparing ourselves to be enlightened and spiritual, all with the heavens. We're not supposed to be mixing and having a mindset as an earthly vanity of people here. We're supposed to be doing worship on earth as it is in heaven. That's the whole direction the mindset needs to be in. And then also in verse 9, just we talking about the word in Messiah. And it came to pass when Moshe had gone into the tabernacle, the column of the glorious cloud descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle. And the word of the Adon spoke with Moshe. So who is the angel sent? The word. Representation at the tabernacle as what? The column or pillar of cloud. And who is Moshe speaking with? The word, the Messiah. That's what I'm saying. All of these are the same things. All of them. In verse 11. And the word spoke with Moshe, word for word. Oh, that's got to be so cool, man. I mean, think about that. Moshe was able to have a full-blown conversation when he had questions, whichever needed instructions, given the instructions. Moshe was spoken word to word. The voice of the word was heard, but the majesty of the presence was not seen. In the way that a man converses with his companion, so friend to friend. And after the speaking voice had ascended, he returned to the camp and delivered the word to the congregation of Yasharallah. All right. And continuing with this verse 11, John 1:18, no man has seen Elohim at any time, the only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared in him. And this is what we're seeing right here with Moshe. Yasha says unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. And from henceforth ye know him and have seen him. Wow. All right, let's finish chapter 33, 12 through 23.
And Moses said unto the Lord, See, thou sayest unto me, Bring up this people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Now therefore, I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, My presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, If thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For wherein shall it be known here that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? Is it not in that thou goest with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth. And the Lord said unto Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And he said, Thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. And the Lord said, Behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen.
And continuing with the point of Messiah is the column of the pillar of smoke, right? Well, Moshe's talking to him, and he's straight up saying to the word, he said, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. Whoa! I don't even, second. I didn't even. This is a New Testament prophecy hidden into the details of the scriptures, y'all. And I will give thee rest. Who's the pillar of smoke? The word. Who's the word? The Messiah. And what did the word just tell Moshe? And I will give thee rest. Oh, where did it jump? Where am I at? Verse 14. 1 second. I did not add this one. What did the word say in the New Testament? Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Y'all see what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. The more you understand, now what angel has the authority to do such things? What angel? Maybe the angel that has been given authority over the heaven and the earth, right? The angel that created the heaven and the earth, that sanctified the original Sabbath day. Huh. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Now in the Targum here, and verses 16 and 17. In what will it be known that I have found mercy before thee, but in the converse of thy Shekinah with us, that distinguishing signs may be wrought for us, in the withholdment of the spirit of prophecy from the nations, and by thy speaking by the Holy Spirit to me and to thy people, that we may be distinguished from all the peoples upon the face of the earth. Wow. I don't know if y'all caught that. What separates his people from the people of earth? Moshe just described the some of the gifts that are given from the Ruach Kodesh. We'll read it one more time. In what will it be known that I have found mercy before thee, but in the converse of thy Shekinah with us, that distinguishing signs may be wrought for us, in the withholding of the spirit of prophecy from the nations, and by thy speaking of the Ruach Kodesh to me and to thy people, that we may be distinguished from all the peoples upon the face of the earth. Wow. So the speaking of the Ruach Kodesh through his people, the spirit of prophecy and the signs are only given to his people. That's what verse 16 is saying. and 17. And the Adon said to Moshe, this thing also which thou hast spoken of will I do, for thou hast found mercy before me, and I have ordained thee with a goodly name. So according to the Aramaic Targum, Moshe asked to make us different from the other nations, to know that we are his by giving us gifts that only the Ruach Kodesh could give us through his presence, which is a representation of the Ruach Kodesh. How crazy is that? All glory. So cool. All right. All right. And that's all I have for chapter 33. Last chapter of this Torah portion. Oh, let's get it. Chapter 34, we're going to read verse 1 through 9.
Exodus 34. And the Lord said unto Moses, hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first. And I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables which thou breakest. And be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai, and present thyself there to me in the top of the mount. And no man shall come up with thee, neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount. Neither let the flocks nor herds feed before that mount. And he hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first. And Moses rose up early in the morning, and went up unto Mount Sinai, as the Lord had commanded him, and took in his hand the 2 tables of stone. And the Lord descended in the cloud, and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name of the Lord. And the Lord passed by before him, and proclaimed, the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and upon the children's children, unto the 3rd and to the 4th generation. And Moses made haste, and bowed his head toward the earth, and worshipped. And he said, if now I have found grace in thy sight, O Lord, let my Lord, I pray thee, go among us. For it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for thine inheritance.
Do y'all see what's going on in this chapter, y'all? Oh my goodness. We are seeing the need for a savior. Think about it. What is the point? What is the point of what we're reading here? Moses, since last chapter to the beginning of chapter 34, Moses is pleading that the presence, the Shekinah of the Most High dwells with them to give them power and glory. I thought man doesn't need a savior. Can you save yourself? Talking about forgiving iniquity. It doesn't matter if it's forgiven. The guilt of it, of in a sense of you saving yourself, after it's cleared, you still is you're by yourself is not enough. This is why Moses made haste and bowed his head towards the earth in worship, and he said, if now I have found grace in thy sight, O Adon, let my Lord, I pray thee, go amongst us, for it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity. This is the entire point. Moses is saying, he's like, we need you to pardon our iniquity, our sin, and take us for thine inheritance, and give us an opportunity, because he understands that they are nothing without him. They couldn't be removed from captivity without him. Everything is about being in the presence of the word, because that's the closest thing we can get to the Father, right? I just want a couple of precepts just read different in the Targum, verse 6 and 7 here. And the Adon made his Shekinah to pass by before his face and proclaimed the Adon Elohim, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and nigh in mercies, abounding to exercise compassion and truth, keeping mercy and bounty for thousands of generations, absolving and remitting guilt, passing by rebellions and covering sins, pardoning them who convert unto the law. Who does he pardon? Pardoning them who convert unto the Torah, but holding not guiltless in the great day of judgment those who will not convert. We'll read that one more time. He will pardon them who convert unto the Torah, but holding not guiltless in the great day of judgment those who will not convert. Visiting the sins, and this is what we just read with the molten calf. He judged them that had the mark of the beast in their nostrils. He judged them because they did not convert to the Torah. And for everyone that did convert and didn't partake, he gave them a pardon. Did he not? This is speaking in real time there, in real time now. Visiting the sins of the fathers upon the rebellious children, upon the third and upon the fourth generation. There's nothing new under the sun. So many correlations, so many. All right, let's continue. Where are we at now? Verse 10 through 28.
He said, Behold, I make a covenant. Before all thy people I will do marvels, such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people among which thou art shall see the work of the Lord. For it is a terrible thing that I will do with thee. Observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before thee the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no other god, for the Lord whose name is a jealous God. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a-whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice, and thou take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go a-whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go a-whoring after their gods. Thou shalt make thee no molten gods. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, in the time of the month Abib. For in the month Abib thou camest out from Egypt. All that openeth the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. But the firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with a lamb. And if thou redeem him not, then shalt thou break his neck. All the firstborn of thy sons thou shalt redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. Thrice in the year shall all your men children appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel. For I will cast out the nations before thee, and enlarge thy borders. Neither shall any man desire thy land, when thou shalt go up to appear before the Lord thy God thrice in the year. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover be left unto the morning. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring unto the house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. And the Lord said unto Moses, Write thou these words, for after the tenor of these words I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. And he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. And it came to pass.
I don't know, a lot of people noticed this, but Moses fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, like almost back to back. Kind of crazy. This is how you know Moses was just in the Shekinah and it was different. Let's talk about that 40 days and 40 night fast, pretty much back to back. This is spoken of in Deuteronomy 9. When I was gone up unto the mount to receive the tablets of the stone, even the tablets of the covenant which Hiah made with you, then I abode in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. I neither did eat bread nor drink water, and the Most High delivered unto me 2 tables of stone, written with the finger of Elohim, and on them was written according to all the words which the Most High spoke with you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that Hiah gave me the 2 tables of stone, even the tablets of the covenant. So that's 1. And Hiah said unto me, Arise, get thee down quickly from hence, for thy people which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten image. Furthermore, the Adon spoke unto me, saying, I have seen the people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Let me alone that I may destroy them and blot out their name from under heaven. And that is what is the understanding of the meaning of the name Yeshua, is to blot out. That's funny, right? Because the people that call him that are the fake Jews that are trying to blot his name out. And I will make of thee a nation mightier and greater than they. And I turned and came down from the mount, and the mount burned with fire. And the 2 tables of the covenant were in my 2 hands. And I looked, and behold, ye had sinned against Hiah your Elohim, and had made you a molten calf. Ye had turned aside quickly out of the way which Hiah had commanded you. And I took the 2 tables and cast them out of my 2 hands and broke them before your eyes. And I fell down before the Most High as at the first 40 days and 40 nights. And there is the second 40 days and 40 nights. And I neither did eat bread nor drink water because of all the sins. So the second time is because all the sins, making atonement for their sins, and then he had to go up and get the new tablets of commandments, which he sinned in doing wickedly in the sight of the Most High to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure wherewith Hiah was wrought against you to destroy you. But Hiah hearkened unto me at that time also, and Hiah was very angry with Aaron. Yes, I would be too, Aaron, to have destroyed him. And I prayed for Aaron also. That was another reason why I wanted to read this now. It was like, what happened to the judgment for Aaron, right? Well, Moses pleading to the Most High saved Aaron's life. And I took your sin, the calf which ye had made, and burnt it with fire, and stomped on it, and ground it very small, even until it was small dust, and I cast the dust thereof unto the brook that descended out of the mount. All right. All right. Where am I? Okay, so let's go to the Targums now, verses 30, chapter 34, verses 25 and 26. You shall not sacrifice the victim of my Passover before you have done away with the leaven. If we go look at 25, it just says do not pretty much mix it. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, which that doesn't make really any sense because you don't sacrifice the lamb with leaven of any sorts. So I think this is a better translation or understanding of verse 25, that you shall not sacrifice the Passover before you have done away with leaven. So yes, leaven needs to be removed before evening. Nor suffer the fat of the Pesach sacrifice to remain about the altar till the morning. All right, and verse 26 as well. The best of the first fruits of your land ye shall bring to the sanctuary of the Adon your Elohim. You are not allowed to boil or to eat flesh and milk mixed together, lest my displeasure be kindled against you. The fruit of your trees with the grapes in their branches and their leaves be laid waste together. All right. So I wanted to speak on this entire part here, what we just read. When we go from 10, he says, I will make a covenant with thee. And he's talking obviously establishing, even though he did this before, he's doing it again after the transgression, right? He's making it clear, behold, I make a covenant with thee. And he said he will cast out the nations from before thee, right? And then he said, take heed not to make a covenant with the heathen to worship their idols. In summary, thou shalt not make thee molten calves, and etc. And then it goes on to, after he tells you he's making a covenant with thee and do not make a covenant with the nations and worship their gods, he goes on to talk about instructions from verse 18 on. He says the keep the feast of unleavened bread in Abib, and then that to sacrifice the firstlings and shall redeem the lamb. And then he also says that all the firstborn of thy sons thou shalt redeem. And real quick, just as a review, in Numbers 18, how do we redeem them? Everything that opens the matrix in all flesh, which they bring unto the Most High, whether it be of men or beasts, shall be thine. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man shalt thou surely redeem, and the firstling of unclean beasts shalt thou redeem. And those that are to be redeemed from the month old shalt thou redeem according to thy estimation, for the money of 5 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gara. So this is the redemption, the redeeming of the children. Just in context, if you didn't remember that. Went over that in a earlier Torah portion. So he's given the instructions: keep the feast, redeem your firstborns. Then it's talking about the first fruits of thy land is his. And then it says in verse 26, as we read here, you are not allowed to boil or to eat flesh mixed with flesh and milk mixed together. And so the whole thing I'm saying here, even after this, is he breaks the entirety of it down. He says, I'm making a covenant. Don't make covenants with the other nations. He gives instructions, and then he says, redeem your children, keep these feasts, keep my covenant, etc. And then after all of that, this is how all of these are when it talks about the mixing meat and milk. This is the structure. Go look at it's three different verses, 2 in Exodus and 1 in Deuteronomy, that mention the mixing of meat and milk. At least when in the canon, it might say boil or seethe a kid in his mother's milk. But when you look at it in the chapter and structure of the context of that chapter, it's in the same frame as instructions given to his people, for his people. And then he's talking about the redeeming of his children. And I've spoken of this, and I'm going to speak on it right here in this milk and meat study, that all of it is in context about righteously raising your children with the instructions of the Most High. And in the same time that he's mentioning these in all these chapters, in the middle of it, or at the end, sort of, it says, do not mix meat and milk together. Because he's showing you that you got to raise your kids properly. Just as meat and milk shouldn't be mixed together or eaten together. Your children need to be raised properly, as if light and darkness shouldn't be mixed together. You only can serve two masters, good and evil, and wisdom and the youth. The milk representing when you are still possibly could be in transgression. You're ignorant, you're unknowing, you're a child, you're a youth. Don't let the youth mix with meat, and don't have the meat mixed with youth. Raise the youth the way the youth need to be raised. And once you become at least old enough to be on meat, don't mix your meat back with the milk. Okay? That's what I get of the context of it. He's teaching them how to redeem his children, to keep the feast day, to bring them thrice, right here in verse 24, right before that. When thou shalt go up, appear before the dawn 3 times a year. That you shouldn't sacrifice with leaven. And this could be physical leaven too, like leaven of the Pharisees, traditions of men. And then it goes on the very next verse to say, don't mix meat and milk. There is an order to everything, and that's what this whole passage is talking about. Doing things in the correct order, the way I tell you to do it, and do not do things on your own accord, trying to be a god, eating meat and milk together. All right. I mean, it's kind of like the state that we're in with a lot of folks. We have so many teachers out here that is still on meat. I mean, that's still on milk, but they're trying to teach meat. I think that's a prime example of this. That is a spiritual mixing of meat and milk. A Christian that's in church is trying to tell someone how to not keep the Torah. That's what happens when you're still on milk, but you're trying to teach meat. You will lead people astray. And if you even want to go into scripture, you will see that I think in the book of Jasher and in the canon, that Abraham has a feast upon when their child is weaned from milk. They have a feast of meat when their child is weaned from milk. Obviously, the child probably isn't having meat, but it's the symbolic of that. Okay. I think I said everything I need to say. Let's finish this Torah portion off. 29 through 35 now.
That's when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him. And Moses called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him. And Moses talked with them, and afterward all the children of Israel came nigh, and he gave them in commandment all that the Lord had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. Until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. Then he came out and spake unto the children of Israel that which he was commanded. And the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone. And Moses put the veil upon his face again, until he went in to speak with him.
So Moses needed a veil because he was shining like the presence, Shekinah of the word, right? All right, let's see here. So I got a precept for, not a precept, comparing the verse 29 in the Targum. Let's go to 29. And it was at the time when Moshe came down from the mountain of Sinai with the 2 tables of the testimony in the hand of Moshe. In his descending from the mount, that Moshe knew not that the visual of his face shone with the splendor which had come upon him from the brightness of the glory of the Adon's Shekinah, which is presence, in the time of his speaking with him. So that's exactly what's going on. And this is a prophetic understanding when we go to the end of the book. We see in Matthew 17:2 that Messiah, a prophet unto like Moshe, his face was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. Why was Moshe's face bright? Because it was the splendor which had come upon him from the brightness of the glory of the Most High Shekinah. It's the same thing going on right here, y'all. It's the same exact thing going on in Matthew 17:2. And then we also see this in a prophetic in the book, in the second coming. This is the second part of the second Ezra. This is actually from the As in the Days of Noah. This illustration is slide. But we see this throughout, that it's not just Messiah, but also his people will shine like, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. And actually forgot that verse. The verse that it was says that our faces shall shine too, which is where the sun will be on next year's Yom Teruah. Like I said, this is second Exodus, and studies, yeah. Oh yeah, we finishing with Jasher 82 verses 21 through 29. And on the morrow, Moses said to the people, I will go up to the Adon Proventure. I may make atonement for your sins, which you have sinned to the Adon. And Moses again went up to Haya and remained with the Most High 40 days and 40 nights. And during the 40 days did Moses entreat the Adon in behalf of the children of Israel. And Haya hearkened to the prayer of Moses, and the Adon was entreated of him in behalf, in behalf of Israel. Then spoke the Most High to Moses to hew 2 stone tablets and to bring them up to the Adon, who would write upon them the 10 commandments. Now Moses did so, and he came down and hewed the 2 tablets, and went up to Mount Sinai to the Adon, and Haya wrote the 10 commandments upon the tablets. And Moses remained yet with the Most High 40 days and 40 nights. And the Adon instructed him in statutes and judgments to impart to Israel. And the Adon commanded him respecting the children of Yasharallah that they should make a sanctuary for the Adon, that his name might rest therein. And the Adon showed him the likeness of the sanctuary and the likeness of all its vessels. And at the end of the 40 days, Moses came down from the mount, and the 2 tablets were in his hand. And Moses came to the children of Yasharallah and spoke to them all the words of the Adon, the Most High Elohim, and taught them the laws, statutes, and judgments which the Adon had taught them, which we'll see leading into the next Torah portion. That completes week 19. Believe it or not, y'all, next week we are already finishing the book of Exodus. What? Having a blast doing this with y'all. Let's keep it rolling. And just like that, in 20 weeks, we thoroughly, line by line, have read and come to pretty good understanding of every chapter in every book thus far. And so let's keep it going. But I'll see y'all next week. Shalom.